What do you know about the Arctic convoys? An exhibition opening tomorrow at the National Maritime Museum in Greenwich marks the 70th anniversary of the first Allied convoy to Russia during the Second World War. Those convoys carried vital supplies to the Soviet Union, things like tanks, fighter planes, fuel, ammunition, raw materials and food. In total, the convoys transported more than 4 million tonnes of supplies, but at a substantial cost. By May 1945, 104 merchant vessels and 16 military vessels had been lost, and with them, thousands of Allied seamen. Edward Caudry served on HMS Belfast. He told me why he joined up at the age of not quite 18.
I had 4 brothers who were all in the army and didn't care too much for it. And I didn't consider myself as a RAF man, so I volunteered for the Navy. And I was quite happy to go along with what they threw at me.
When did it dawn on you that you were part of this extreme cold?
When I got up there, we were sent on a convoy duties to Iceland, and we used to wait in Iceland and wait for the convoy to come through from Canada and America through the Straits. And we just would put ourselves south of them as they went north to Murmansk, so that any invading force coming from Norway or wherever would have to encounter us first. And of course, the further you got north, the colder it got. And believe me, it was cold.
How cold was it?
Well, at times it was about 50 below when you got right up in Spitsbergen and Bear Island.
That's hard to imagine. What's that like to be in?
Awful. Having said that, I'll give the Navy credit for this. They gave us some extremely good clothing. Obviously, it was in their interest, because if you were not fit or cold, you weren't a fighting unit. Really lovely sea boots, which were very, very good when the waves were washing inboard and all over the deck, because most of my duties were on the upper deck. You could never really get away from the cold unless you found somewhere on the lee side of the ship where you could sort of hide yourself and listen to the wind going past you, but you couldn't stop there long. It was just a brief spell.
What about the spray?
The spray was terrible. As soon as it hit the ship, it froze. If it hit you, it froze. All my beard was frozen, my nostrils were frozen. As you breathed, the nostrils froze. You just lived with it, but you never got used to it. You just put up with it. But what I did find, and anybody would say the same, any duties you had to perform during that sort of weather and conditions were very, very heavy, because you never had the energy, you were wrapped up, you weren't flexible enough to do things quickly, so it took time. All those things contributed to a hard life, if I may say.
It sounds hellish.
It was. Believe you me, I'm not exaggerating. Murmansk is a very, very dull, uninteresting, terrible place. I don't know how the Russians lived there, but by golly, weren't we pleased to get into there and dock.
I bet, you couldn't take your gloves off.
No. If you took your gloves off, you know what would happen. You hit metal or touch metal, and all your skin would leave there, and then, of course, once again, you're out of action with that sort of injury. But, see, working with gloves and that, it's not a thing that comes easily. Have you ever done gardening with gloves on? Things become that much more difficult.
But you'd
no
choice.
So it takes more time, you see. I used to hate getting right up in the north in the winter. It was virtually dark all the time. And that could be discouraging. There was nowhere to take your attention. If it was daylight in the summer, the Northern Lights, absolutely magnificent. One of the blessings of being on that convoy was seeing the Northern Lights. They were absolutely beautiful. Every time you saw them, they were different. I really enjoyed those, but I didn't enjoy much else.
Did you have any idea what was going on back home with your family and your brothers and the rest of the world?
Oh, well, only by letter, which they were quite infrequent, because they would come to us and then be held till we got back at Scapa, so they'd be about a fortnight late and that. I got to know about them from my mother. I remember my mother, when she saw me off, the last of her sons to go to war, she sent 5 of her sons off to war. As fate had it, they all came back. One of them didn't come back as the man he went because he was a prisoner of war in Japan, and they absolutely decimated him as a man, a fit man. But however, that's another story.
I wonder how it changed you, your experience.
I made a man out of me, no question about that, and gave me a lot of belief in my fellow men because you relied upon each other. We were a unit, and the unit would succeed if we all worked together. So we did work together.
It made a man of you. I wonder how later in life the experience affected you.
It learnt me to live with things. I became more patient as a person. I left the Navy when I was 22, I think, and I regretted losing those years of my life because they're very, very lovely years from when you're sort of a young man. I'm not complaining about that because there was hundreds of thousands of people did the same thing. I was very, very lucky. And may I go on to tell you something else? When the Charles was sunk, we came back to Scapa. We did a lot of training. I was a crane driver, and I was instructed to go up, and they were bringing out the wounded. I cannot ever forget some of the wounds that those men had. I won't go into detail, but it really shocks me, and it still lives with me. I can see those men now. And unfortunately, some of them were too far gone and they died, and we just put them in sacks and buried them over the side. And that's said a prayer for them. All those things tend to have a great effect upon you and your outlook on life. And I say this, but for the grace of God, there go I. Because it could have been me if I'd have been sent into the army and sent over there. Who knows?
You're a brave man, Edward.
I wouldn't say that. I just got on with what I had to do, as did hundreds of others. And gratefully, we survived it. Simple as that.
Winston Churchill described the Arctic convoys as the worst journey in the world.
Well, I wouldn't argue with him. Before I close, can I say one thing?
Sure, go ahead.
We spent 2 days shadowing the Charles, and eventually it was sunk. I fired 3 torpedoes at the Charles. It was so dark, whether they hit or not, I don't know, but it went down not too long afterwards. And when it went down, there were tears in my eyes, because there was 2,000 men on there, all with mothers, brothers, sisters, wives. And I thought, what a waste. But faced with circumstances, it could have been us, not them. So...
How is life, Edward? How is life now?
Well, not too bad. I went back into my career, which was a printer.
Mm-hmm.
And I met with Mr. Maxwell, who stole our pension. He stole about £450 million of our pension fund. So I wasn't very happy with him.
What do you think of him?
But I couldn't repeat it over. I couldn't tell you. But however, I do get a small pension from the Bureau, which I'm extremely grateful for. And I've been retired for 25 years. You know, I'm not complaining. Aren't I lucky? Aren't I a lucky person? Do you not think so?
Edward Cawdry, who served on HMS Belfast. That exhibition about the Arctic convoys opens tomorrow at the National Maritime Museum in Greenwich.